Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Vinu Anand at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulae for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such heavyweight on FaceTime with leaders with us today, Pranav Bhruguwar. He's a seasoned retailer with over 20 years of global experience and is a luminary in the world of retail with a profound understanding of the intricacies of the retail industry and an impressive track record. Bhruguwar has demonstrated remarkable qualities throughout his career. His comprehensive exposure to various functions and geographies, coupled with remarkable leadership and change management skills, have made him a true market maker in the retail sector. His ability to develop innovative business models, retail and channel strategies, and his unwavering commitment to driving revenue and market share have set him apart as a visionary leader in the retail world. Bhruguwar's vast knowledge of retailing is a testament of his dedicating and expertise in the field. So, Mr. Bhruguwar, to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
So thanks, Veena, and thanks for the lovely introduction. So I have been a retailer for close to 25 years now, right? I started post my post-graduation from Bombay. I joined Shopperstop as a management trainee. And there I was involved initially in the First Citizens Club program, the loyalty program of Shopperstop. I moved from there to join ITC. They were setting up the Wills Lifestyle retail division. So you would have seen the Wills Lifestyle and John Player brands in the market. I was the regional manager of managing and setting up this business in the western region of India. Post which, this was just around the time when mobility was coming in the country. Nokia set up their office, and I was among the first few initial people to join them to manage retail. I started what is called the Nokia Priority Dealer Network rollout across the country, created the business model around that, and of course, which helped Nokia in a way to kind of have a market share dominance in the market, apart from, of course, a lot of other initiatives done by the entire marketing team. Post which, around 2007 is when I moved to the global team of Nokia, based out of London. This was the team which eventually I was heading as the global director for retail. And this was the time when I was tasked to kind of look at how a company which was initially focused entirely on sell-in. Sell-in is when you sell to the channel, and make them move towards a more sell-out. How are the products moving out of the shelves in the retail stores? So that's some of the things I was involved in. 2013, Stephen Elop joined Nokia. There was a lot of changes in Nokia happening, and I decided that it was time for me to move on. And having worked at a global level, I thought the next challenge would be to kind of create my own product in retail space. An idea struck me actually in UK at the Greenwich Meridian. Actually, I know the instance and the date when this actually happened, and I decided to quit and come back to India to set up my first business. And while the product was still in development, I joined Samsung as director retail and e-store. 2015, the product was ready. We launched it in India, and the company was called Shopper 360. And the whole idea about this company was to look at, so all the data in retail that is there in the market is post billing, right? Once a customer has shopped, how has he what has he shopped, and run loyalty programs, look at your assortment, how better you can plan, so on and so forth. But there was very little data available before billing, right? Pre-billing analytics. Now, if you look at online, this data is obviously available, right? You know how many people come to your website, how long they stay, what are they looking at, but this data is not available in physical world. So the idea was that how can we become the Google Analytics of offline, right? And we looked at two data points. One is the CCTV cameras inside a retail store, and the second is Wi-Fi analytics. So every mobile phone has a MAC ID, and looking at these two data points, we were able to stitch a journey for the shopper across how many people are coming into the store, how many are walking, how many are repeat, where do they go, how do they shop, so on and so forth. But when we were building this, what we wanted to do is really make sure that we are privacy protected. So there should not be any method and the data can be misused. And so we did what is called edge computing. So basically analyze data on the edge, and only metadata flows on the cloud. So there's no way a data can be misused, and there's no personal identifying parameters that are available to identify a particular customer. We expanded that business across Middle East, China, and India, profitable. And during the pandemic, of course, a lot of physical stores shut down. But this was also the time when I was thinking that, okay, a lot of my work is in organized retail, whereas 16 million retailers in India are predominantly unorganized. So what can I do for small retailers? And with the pandemic, I think that thought kind of fructified, because this was the time when everybody was shut down and figuring out how they can do retail. And then I exited out of my first company to start the current company, which is BuyNxt, which helps small retailers digitize themselves and creates automation in this journey so that they, with a very simple method, can actually become digitally active, engage with their existing customers, and get new customers online. So that's essentially what we do, and that's been my journey all through.
Wow, so impressive and innovative.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, very, very nice. And so now you can tell us, like your career spans both the United Kingdom and India. So how did your international exposure shape your understanding of the global retail landscape?
So I think, I mean, there are two ways to answer this question. The first is, of course, when you have been doing retail in India, and retail in India to a large extent especially in Nokia, was largely around trade marketing and channel. Whereas, and of course, we had our own Nokia flagship stores, but when you move outside India, then you realize that there are operators, at least in telecom, the operators hold a lot of sway, and you are actually working with partners to actually sell your product. But I think the move globally, in a way, kind of opened up to the next stage of modern retail, right? So how is shopping happening in France, Champs-Élysées or Regent Street? Okay, what are people looking at, and what's the kind of quality of stores and communication in store that you need, including the ability to train staff to attend to these customers. So I think in terms of customer experience, huge difference, huge gap, and that was big learning. Having said that, I think more than the learning about retail, I think the bigger learning was being able to work with different nationalities in the team, different markets, looking at every market, what are the challenges, because what works in India doesn't work in Brazil, and what works in Brazil doesn't work in United States, and so on and so forth. And especially then, given this and the kind of task that I was supposed to champion, really getting everybody along to say, okay, this is how we need to look at. So first is to understand, create a new plan, and then go and kind of get everybody on board. I think that's the learning. So I think maybe the first 1.5 years was a little bit of retail learning, but I think beyond that was really more about different markets, different channel, and different nationalities. How do you actually work with them and get your work done? I think that I would say was the bigger challenge. And also, I think the other part of this is that, obviously the last 2 decades in India has been growth, right? It was easy to kind of achieve double-digit growth. But when you move to markets which are in lower single-digit growth, then you have to really think out of box saying, okay, how do I going to drive this growth? And a lot of times when you are in growth market, you suddenly feel overconfident that you actually know, retail, marketing, you are a champion. And if you go to a difficult market, you realize that, you have to relearn some of these things and apply your knowledge very differently to kind of then drive that growth. So I think it was, a lot of all these put together was the big, I would say, shift. And I have always encouraged people that whenever you do get a chance, actually look at moving outside your market, look at a more global perspective, and you will realize your country retail versus the rest of the world is vastly different. Yes, there are a lot of areas which are similar, but there is so much more that you learn from, a global perspective on what you need to do, and it changes you fundamentally.
Nice. Good learnings. I mean, great learnings. So, sir, you have been honored with several awards and accolades. So, which of them do you regard as your biggest achievement and why?
That's a difficult question, honestly, because
Because you got many, many awards.
yes and no, but I think at every stage of your journey, different awards mean different things to you. But if I were to kind of pick up a couple of things, then I would say, um, you know, when I was still working, and of course I joined Samsung, I was involved in a lot of trainings across different markets and kind of getting senior management to understand retail, and even middle level retail managers to kind of look at developing their retail. So there, I think one recognition was a global award from the MD in Samsung, who kind of I got an award for the best trainer. So that I would felt that okay was some, um, I would say, pat on the back that okay, I know retail, okay. But I think that in a way busted during the pandemic, because whatever I learned in retail was pretty much something in physical retail, 2 decades old, and pandemic suddenly changed the landscape. So now I have to relearn retail. So I think that's one award which was in a way good, but I think the bigger achievement was when I started getting awards from associations in retail, Retail Association of India, and then of course tech awards from NASSCOM Top 50. But what I would say is one award I'm not award, but one I think activity where uh, I'm quite proud of the work is we were selected by the Dubai Economy, which is the economic department of the Dubai government, to look at Dubai Future Foundation. So there's a group which is called Dubai Future Foundation, which is obviously has a lot of focus from the ruling, uh, you know, Amir, and then what they are looking at is how should Dubai grow, okay, in various aspects. And I was kind of selected. I mean, there were two companies selected to look at what should happen in retail in Dubai over the next 10 years. Okay. And that I think was a fantastic kind of opportunity, working with various departments in the Dubai government, looking at how the retail, which is predominantly physical retail, with online coming in, how it's going to change, and be able to kind of advise and influence some of that. So I think that was a great exercise. But I think the last one I would say is an award that we got just 6-8 months back, which was so WhatsApp, the Meta company, had a hackathon in India, okay, where they were basically looking at how can companies build on the WhatsApp commerce platform, okay, and we presented our product, our technology, and out of, I think there were close to around 10,000 companies who over the 3 months participated in this exercise. It went through 3 levels of shortlisting. There was a final in Delhi where 10 people were presenting, and eventually we won the hackathon. And I think that, of all the things, I think that's probably the highlight, because one, it was a fairly extensive exercise. Of course, the Dubai government one also was, one in a 10,000 kind of a chance. But here, this was something which allowed us to kind of work very closely with the Meta product team, also Airtel, which was the BSP for this particular activity, and really look at how we can expand our product using some of the features on WhatsApp commerce and getting that recognition. So I think those are the kind of things, and I think the last award is probably the one that I'm probably most proud of.
Wow. I mean, no words. I mean, every time I get to hear something new and something, wow. I mean, no words to say, but heartiest congrats to you, sir.
Thank you.
And so now, if you can just tell us, how and when did you develop an interest in corporate governance?
Okay, I think see, corporate governments came in later. I think where I probably right from my college and when I started working, I always believed in processes and paperwork, right? And having that clean so that at any given point of time, you have the backing. And over the especially in Nokia, some of the project, and later on in Samsung as well, some of the projects that I was involved in were you know huge cost centers, right? Multi-million dollar spends. I think at least in couple of my profiles, I was probably the biggest cost center in the company, right? And especially in one company, I won't name it, okay, but when I was hired, people before me had a lot of audit issues. Some of them were asked to leave, okay, and then to kind of take up a role and ensure that you map out all the costs, you map out the processes, you audit them, and you get the management on your side, and being able to set something which despite and the kind of not just the value of this, but the speed, executing those projects which normally take 3 years, do it in 6 months, right? And still ensure that everything works right, the paperwork, the legality, audits, everything is in place. I think that's something I'm quite proud of. And I'm also proud of the fact that people who took over from me, okay, had a setup already in place for them to manage this, okay. So if you look at all these things, ultimately this is nothing but governance, okay, right? And then of course, when I step back beyond the processes and everything, I look at governments today and I'll say, okay, there are so many other aspects of it. Okay, legalities and taxation and so and so forth. And of course, nowadays there's ESG and other priorities as well. And I look around, and now that, of course, beyond the corporate, I've now started on my own. This is my second company, right? And when I look around and I look around into some of the startups, heavily funded, every second day in the news, somebody is having an issue because of corporate governance, and then suddenly things start going bad for them, right? So I think it is no longer, something that you're interested in or you want to look at. It is almost, it should be your DNA, right? It's what you have to live and breathe all the time, and anything that you're doing, looking at the governance and ensuring that you are true to the process and the rules and the legality. I think so. That's how I would look at it. I mean, yes, there was a lot of work I had done in the past, not from the corporate governance hat, but now having my own company, looking at what is happening around in the market, I think that's something that should be at least as a CEO, it should be top priority.
So, sir, as a corporate governance expert, so what values do you bring to the table?
So, I think, uh, you know, if you look at corporate governance in isolation, okay, it will just be a certain set of practices, okay. But I think what you have, when you're running a business, obviously there are pressures, right? There are business pressures. You want to have speed, okay, because that's the only way you can stay ahead of the market. You want to build your revenue, you want to keep your costs down. And while you're doing all this, okay, there is this corporate governance that's on the back of your mind, and you have to figure out how do you. What happens is most people look at this separately, okay, and I think where I probably come from is, here is a set of rules that you have to follow. Okay, it's like a road, right? It's a point A to point B. There's a road, and you have to be on that road. You can't actually go, outside this path. But nobody stops you from, instead of taking a cycle, maybe take a vehicle or an aeroplane to go from point A to B. So I think where my expertise comes in is being able to drive business at speed and scale, and still being able to ace your corporate governance parameters. I think that's where I would say, if there was, I mean, there was one thing I can bring on the table, and that's that: speed, scale, and with corporate governance in place.
Thank you for your input, sir. And what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? Like, and what changes do you expect to see with the advent of lot, AI, MI, blockchain, big data, and Web 3.0?
Okay. I think technology is disrupting every industry. Okay. But retail, I think, got disrupted during the pandemic. See, what was happening in retail was that everybody knew that online is going to become big. You're going to start using more and more technology in your business, and so on and so forth. But it was a slow movement. Okay, everybody expected, okay, the things are going to change in 10, 15 years down time. What happened with the pandemic is that what would have taken decades happened in weeks, right? And nobody was prepared for it. And then, of course, there was this big struggle of, okay, what to do, how to do, and how to go online, what technologies to use. And the debate whether, it's offline versus online, whether I should invest in technology or not, I think that debate got over in weeks, which otherwise, let's say, people like me would talk to other CXOs in retail, and they will say, oh, but this is going to take time. It's not going to happen in India, and so on and so forth. It happened like this, right? And there's a famous saying, I think, by uh, Lenin, who said that sometimes it takes decades for things to happen, and sometimes decades happen in a few weeks, right? So here a decade happened in a few weeks, and that, I think, started changing what people were looking at in retail. Okay, but like all industries, what happens is that the customer changes before the business changes. Especially in retail, the customer expectations changed in a few weeks, right? It's not that retail thought, oh, we're going to change the way we are working. Customer change, and then everybody was caught unaware, and they are now struggling or kind of catching up to say, this is what the customer expect, and now we have to change our process. And this kind of disruption obviously needs tech to kind of drive it. Okay, the customer experience that is expected today by the customer, he's buying with the convenience, he's paying with the convenience, absolutely no physical touch, and he wants those deliveries to happen within 10 minutes, and all that requires tech, right? So and it's not just one thing, right? It's an amalgamation of all these things, whether it is AI, ML, even blockchain for that matter. Tomorrow, there could be solutions, because one area beyond this is also trust. Okay, being able to trust what you're buying, being able to kind of look at the supply side of the product that you're buying, looking at, if I'm buying vegetables in the store, is it carbon neutral? Okay, where is it coming from? Is this coffee coming from a sustainable farm? And all these things need methods to kind of look at, okay, you can say it on a package, but will people trust it? And I think there are now startups in India which are looking at blockchain, using blockchain tech, are able to kind of bring that into the on the table, saying, here is a product, and we can guarantee that it is a sustainable product, it is carbon neutral, or whatever be the case. And I think as those things move, these tech will be very, very important. And give it another 2 3 years, and this will be, or maybe 5 years, it will be all over the place. So I don't think that's going to be something not happening. It's absolutely, you can see it happening. I know there is a lot of talk of AI, but in terms of how AI is going to impact consumer experience is an area to solve. And of course, there's a lot of work happening there. So it is going to be disrupted. Web 3.0 will be another level of it. Okay, and almost in a way looking at virtual shopping, social shopping in a virtual avatar, being able to kind of looking at some of the problems in retail. Okay, you can't try a outfit while buying on Amazon. Okay, you could have virtual fit outs, right? So there could be a lot of things that will come, and whether technology is going to disrupt or not, I think that is not even a question anymore. Okay, it has disrupted. It's almost a question whether you are prepared for it, or you have some plans to kind of look at. And what will happen in all cases when disruption happens is that companies who are on the forefront of this are going to win, and the companies who are going to be laggards, you will see some of the big names probably not being able to survive or move forward. Okay, so it's a question of, and this almost, if you look at Amazon 2 decades back, there were big people, retail chains who were sitting very pretty, right? saying, you know, online is never going to be big, and look what has happened in 2 decades. Okay, this is that time in retail. Okay, it's a question of, are you using your tech to solve some real fundamental problem and build cutting edge customer experience? If yes, and you are forefront of this development, then I think you have a great future. If you're going to wait for another decade to kind of change yourself, I think you're probably already too late. Okay. Um, or if you have not started already working towards it, you're probably too late already. So I think that's where it is. Of all businesses, retail is one business which is absolutely disrupted. There are a lot of things happening around right now. I mean, the open network for digital commerce, which the government of India is also, in a way championing, is a great initiative, and that could disrupt e-commerce in India. Okay, so there are a lot of things happening parallelly, which I think the retail leaders need to be aware of, and probably figure out their own method of how they want to participate in this changing dynamics.
Win here is we need to change.
Change,
To be in
change.
the market, to survival. For survival, I suppose we need to change. We need to change with technology. We need to upgrade ourselves every now and then.
No, so I slightly would want to change that sentence. Okay, if you want to change because you want to survive, you're already dead. Okay, you need to change because you want to lead a change in your ecosystem, then you're going to succeed. Okay, changing for survival is I mean, you'll barely survive. Okay, but if you want to succeed, you probably need to know that there is a change happening. I need to be, so it's like this: if you're sailing and you're going to try to jump on a wave when it's already on its peak, you are not going to be able to do that. But you should be able to see that, oh, there is a wave of change coming, and you should be able to prepare yourself and make the most of it right when it is kind of taking shape. So I think that's the point I'm making. Change for survival is very old school. Yeah, if you are thinking that, you be prepared to be disrupted. Either
So
you
we
can
need to
disrupt
change. We
yourself or
need,
somebody will disrupt you.
yeah. So we need to, the moment we see the changes coming, we have to start upgrading ourselves.
Yeah. Or maybe be the change agent. Be the change in your
Be the
industry.
change. Yeah. Yeah. You have to be more innovative to be the change.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So like we are building a community of industry magnets. The move is meant for cross pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So, what are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I mean, it's a great initiative. So I've been involved with the DI Institute for a few months now, and I have seen some of the work they are doing, and of course, I've attended some of those talks as well. I think beyond the corporate governance and of course the digital initiatives and the ESG initiatives, I think there are a lot of people who are in their own field very knowledgeable. Okay, and but today, in today's day and age, you can be an expert in one thing, but you can't be an expert in 10 things, right? But what is required in most companies is that you need experts in 10 different things, right? Right. And you need to have a platform where, if, for example, I need somebody to come and tell me about, let's say, carbon credits, right? I should be able to speak to an expert, exchange ideas, and be able to kind of look at, okay, there is a lot of knowledge there. What part of it can I use in my company and move forward? And of course, then I can hire people and do those things. But I think that a repository of knowledge is important. But see, the problem with knowledge is that, you have skills at different level, right? You could have people, knowing how, let's say, digital commerce works or digital marketing works. They know how they can run let's say a Google ad or a Facebook ad and all that. They know the skills, they know the basic tools. Okay. But those are tools for hire, right? When you want to speak to people, you want to be able to speak to somebody who has been doing this for several years and probably is able to kind of look beyond the current and saying, what, this is going to happen in the next 5-6 years. And this is where you need to this is, there are enough and more places where there are tools for hire. Okay. What you need is people who have a vision, who know their industry so well that they can tell you that, okay, this is what is going to happen in the next 5-10 years, and this is what you need to start focusing on. And that is where the gap is. Okay, there are enough platforms to, give you resources and knowledge, but being able to look at what's going to be the next disruption, those are very few people in those industries, and having a platform for that, I think it's very important. And I think if something like that is being worked on, it's a great initiative, and of course I look forward to engaging with a lot of them.
Great. So it was a really fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Wonderful talking to you for all your insights.
Yeah.